What does it mean? Grand Council of Rexner's voice echoed through the chamber, her forearms gesticulating wildly at the projection floating in the center of the Galactic Council's meeting hall. The message, intercepted from Earth's communications network just hours ago, glowed ominously in stark white letters against a black background. Councillor Draz, a methane-breathing being whose translucent body quivered with anxiety, expelled a worried bubble. Is no one else concerned about the militaristic implications? Deploying is what you do with weapons systems, or software, muttered their resident tech specialist, a cybernetically enhanced octopoid named Rixel. They tapped a tentacle against the floating holographic controls. The probability matrix suggests a 73.2% likelihood this relates to a technological implementation. Rexner's eye stalks swiveled in frustration. That's what concerns me. Earth has only been part of the galactic community for what, 16 cycles? And already they're deploying something called version 1.0 without telling us what it is. The Grand Council chamber erupted into cacophonous debate, with over 200 representatives from across the galaxy shouting theories ranging from harmless internal communication to preparation for galactic domination. The chaos only intensified when someone pointed out that Earth had been conducting something called a beta test without galactic oversight. Silence. Rexner's amplified voice cut through the din. We need Earth's representative here. Now. Jack Novak was having the worst hangover of his diplomatic career when his neural implant buzzed with the emergency summons. At 42, with salt and pepper hair and perpetual dark circles under his eyes, Jack looked exactly like what he was, a mid-level diplomat who'd been thrust into a position he never wanted. You've got to be kidding me, he groaned, fumbling for the implant's manual override. I specifically requested no calls during Earth's designated weekend. The implant, unsympathetic to his plight, projected the message directly onto his retina. Emergency council session. Earth representative required immediately. 30 minutes later, Jack stumbled into the Grand Council chamber, dressed in the formal diplomatic uniform he'd hastily thrown on. The anti-hangover meds were just starting to kick in, which meant the 200 alien faces staring at him looked merely unsettling instead of nightmarish. Ambassador Novak. Rexner began without preamble. Please explain the meaning of this message immediately. Jack squinted at the projection, then let out a laugh before he could stop himself. Several councillors recoiled, interpreting the sound as either threatening or a sign of insanity. I'm sorry, Jack said, composing himself. But this is just... It's probably nothing. It's just tech speak. Some company finished testing their product and is releasing the final version. Draz floated forward. This communication was broadcast on all frequencies, penetrating even our secure channels. No company announcement has that capability. Jack's hangover-addled brain finally caught up. This was serious. Look, Earth has thousands of tech companies. Without context, I can't tell you specifically what this is about. But I assure you, we're not planning anything sinister. Then explain why it was preceded by power fluctuations in your planet's grid that briefly formed a pattern matching galactic military deployment codes demanded a reptilian counselor. What? That's... Jack paused. Wait, you're monitoring our power grid? The chamber grew uncomfortably silent. Standard procedure for observing pre-interstellar civilizations, Rexner said dismissively. The point is, Earth has been conducting tests without proper oversight, and now you're deploying something. The Council demands answers. Jack rubbed his temples. Look, this is clearly a misunderstanding. Earth isn't deploying weapons. We're still figuring out how to make our recycling programs work properly. Then what is version 1.0? Rixel asked. Multitude of eyes blinking in sequence. It could be anything. A social media app, a new operating system, a revolutionary sandwich delivery service. Earth launches dozens of products called version 1.0 every day. Rexner leaned forward, her imposing height casting a shadow over Jack. Then you admit Earth is constantly deploying new technologies without galactic approval. Jack realized he'd walked into a diplomatic minefield. That's not, we don't think of updating our apps as something requiring interstellar permission. Apps, the word rippled through the chamber, mutated by translator microbes into various approximations that all sounded vaguely threatening. Councillor Claxix, a notoriously paranoid security expert, rose to his 4 feet. I've studied Earth's apps. They're informational weapons designed to harvest data and influence behavior. If Earth is deploying a planetary-scale app, we must consider it a potential threat. Oh, come on, Jack protested. We joined the galactic community peacefully. We followed all your major regulations. You can't seriously believe we're planning something nefarious based on one cryptic message." Rexner's upper arms crossed while her lower arms tapped a complex sequence into her console. "Ambassador Novak, we have compiled a list of concerning patterns in Earth behavior. For instance, your species routinely uses phrases like killing it, crushing the competition, and world domination in business context. Those are just expressions." Jack felt like he was trying to explain idioms to his universal translator. "Look, can I at least contact Earth to get clarification before you all jump to conclusions?" A reasonable request, came a new voice. A slender, grey-skinned being with large, thoughtful eyes approached the center of the chamber. "I am xenoanthropologist Zix. I have studied Earth culture extensively and believe Ambassador Novak is correct that we may be misinterpreting human communication patterns." Jack shot Zix a grateful look. "Very well," Rexner conceded. "Ambassador Novak may send one communication to Earth for clarification, but the message must be composed here, before the Council, with no coded language." Jack nodded, relieved. "Thank you, Counselor." As Jack began drafting a message asking what the hell was going on back home, he couldn't help but notice the worried murmurs continuing through the chamber. Councillor Draz was whispering fervently to several others, making dramatic methane bubbles that translated roughly to "they're always testing things." "Remember what happened to the dinosaurs?" Jack's draft was interrupted by Rixel, who'd been analyzing Earth communications patterns. "Councillors, I've discovered alarming information. In the past Earth Day, there have been 7,342 separate communications containing the phrase "going viral." This appears to be coordinated with the deployment message. The chamber erupted again, with cries of biological warfare, echoing from multiple species. Jack banged his head against his console. This was going to be a very long day. After 3 hours of increasingly panicked deliberation, Jack's message to Earth had finally been approved, sent, and answered. Now he stared at the response floating in the council chamber, wondering if it was too late to request assignment to the diplomatic outpost on Venus. The message from Earth read, "LOO what? Tell the aliens to chill. It's just TerraSync going live." The beta was fire. "No cap, this will change everything." The silence in the chamber was deafening. Jack's neural implant helpfully informed him that his heart rate had increased to concerning levels. "Ambassador Novak," Rexner's voice cut through the quiet like a plasma cutter through butter. "Please explain what fire, no cap, and LOL mean in this context, and why we should chill when your species is deploying something that will change everything. Edgiving. Jack pinched the bridge of his nose. Who sent this? Was it the UN Secretary? The World Technology Council? Rixel's tentacles danced across the holographic interface. The message originated from the Earth Department of Environmental Innovation, Junior Assistant Director's Office. Signature identifies the sender as Skylar. They, them. Vibes Coordinator. Data. A Vibes Coordinator. Counselor Draz's translation bubble wavered in confusion. It's a Modern Earth title. Jack improvised. "Look, they're just trying to say this isn't a threat. TerraSync must be the project name. It's clearly not a weapon." "What does fire refer to?" interrupted Clax, the security chief. "Is Earth deploying incendiary technology?" No, fire is slang. It means good or exciting," Jack explained desperately. Zykes, the xenoanthropologist who'd spoken up earlier, approached with a datapad. "If I may, counselors, my research confirms that humans often use temperature-related metaphors to express quality. Cool, hot, and fire all indicate positive attributes despite their contradictory literal meanings." "And chill," Rexner demanded to relax. "Remain calm," Jack explained. "So they're telling us to relax while they deploy something that will change everything," Clax summarized, his security exoskeleton whirring ominously. "Classic misdirection tactic." Jack threw up his hands. "It's not misdirection. Humans just talk like this." Councillor Rexner raised all 4 arms, silencing the chamber. "We must vote on immediate action. The evidence suggests Earth is implementing a planet-wide system with unknown capabilities, described only as changing everything and preceded by a beta test we were never informed about." One by one, the councillors placed their appendages, tentacles, or psychic imprints on their voting panels. Jack watched in horror as the tally grew. "The council has decided," Rexner announced. "With a vote of 187 to 16, we will implement Galactic Provision 72B planetary quarantine. No ships in or out of the Sol system until we've determined the nature and threat level of this TerraSync deployment. You can't quarantine Earth, Jack protested. We have supply ships due next week. What about our delegates on other worlds? They'll remain where they are until this matter is resolved, Rexner said flatly. Security Chief Clax will oversee the quarantine fleet deployment. Claxix, a 7-foot insectoid whose carapace was adorned with what looked suspiciously like battle trophies, clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. My ships can be in position within 6 Earth hours. We have atmospheric disruptor technology that can isolate the planet without harming its biosphere. Mostly, Jack echoed weakly. Zix stepped forward. Counselors, with respect, this seems premature. Earth has been a peaceful member of the galactic community. Perhaps we should send an investigation team first. I volunteer to lead it. Jack shot Zix a grateful look. Finally, someone reasonable. Clax's compound eyes flashed. Investigation ships would be vulnerable to whatever Earth is deploying. My expertise in human behavior, would Zix began. Is this the same expertise that led you to classify their social media as harmless when it clearly uses advanced psychological manipulation techniques? Clax interrupted. Zix's grey skin flushed deeper charcoal. My research indicates humans primarily use it to share images of juvenile felines and complain about meteorological conditions. Wait, Jack shouted as another message appeared in the chamber's projection. This one read, update on TerraSync deployment, global saturation at 32% and rising. Systems absorbing faster than projected. The old world is fading. Long live the new paradigm. The chamber erupted in panic. Various counselors began emergency evacuation procedures, while others demanded immediate military action. C. Clax gestured wildly with his upper limbs. The old world is fading? This is a declaration of revolutionary intent. Jack frantically tried to regain control. It's just marketing language. Tech companies always talk like they're changing the world, even when they're just releasing a slightly improved way to order tacos. What is a taco? Demanded a gelatinous counselor. Is it a weapon system? No. It's food. Wrapped in a you-know-what. Never mind. Jack turned to Vrexner. Please give me one more chance to clarify with Earth. Vrexner's eye stalks narrowed. Very well. One final communication. Jack composed a message that he hoped would finally get through to his stupid planet Earth government. Please send formal, professional explanation of TerraSync. No slang. No slang. No hype. Galactic Council considering quarantine. The response came back almost immediately. Jack's heart sank as he read it. TerraSync is the next evolution in planetary management. After centuries of damage, humanity is taking back control. Nothing will ever be the same. That's it, declared Vrexner. Quarantine approved. Security fleet authorized. As Claxx left to prepare his ships, Zix approached Jack, speaking softly. I believe you that this isn't malicious, Ambassador. Perhaps I can help. I've studied your species extensively. Wait, you want to help? After that, Jack gestured to the message still floating ominously. Someone needs to prevent unnecessary conflict, Zix replied. And as the Council's expert on humans, I'm uniquely positioned. Your species is unusual but not malevolent, just exceptionally bad at clear communication. Jack looked at the slender alien, seeing genuine concern in his large, thoughtful eyes. All right. What did you have in mind? Before Zix could answer, a final message appeared. Deployment acceleration protocols activated. TerraSync has achieved sentience. Have a nice day. Even Jack had to admit that sounded ominous. You want me to do what? Jack stared at Grand Councilor Vrexner in disbelief. Lead an investigation team back to Earth, she repeated, all four arms folded in what Jack had come to recognize as her "this is non-negotiable" posture. The Council has determined that a small, covert unit may gather intelligence without triggering whatever planetary system Earth is deploying. Jack looked at the 3 other beings assembled in the chamber's preparation room. Zix, the grey-skinned xenoanthropologist, gave him an encouraging nod. Security Chief Clax was busy examining his personal arsenal, mandibles clicking with obvious pleasure as he calibrated what looked like a very illegal disintegration pistol. And then there was. Well, Jack wasn't quite sure what to make of the floating metallic sphere. And who or what is that? Jack pointed at the sphere. The sphere pulsed with soft blue light. I am Morgana, multidimensional observational reconnaissance gathering analytical network algorithm. My primary function is to process and analyze data patterns across 27 simultaneous probability matrices while maintaining full quantum encryption protocols. I am also equipped with 43 752 jokes categorized by species, cultural context, and potential for diplomatic incident. It's the most advanced AI in the galaxy, Vrexner explained. And it's coming with us. Why, Jack asked. She corrected Morgana. My personality matrix is calibrated to female spectrum characteristics, although I acknowledge the anthropomorphization of artificial intelligence reflects biological prejudices rather than an actual gender identity. Morgana will monitor all Earth communications and help determine what TerraSync actually is, Vrexner explained. Plus, she was the only Council AI that volunteered after the AR incident with the Earth Internet last year. Jack winced, remembering the unfortunate occasion when a Council observation AI had accidentally interfaced with Earth's social media and developed what the technical experts called catastrophic depression. Fine, Jack sighed. So it's me, Zyx, Klaxix, and Morgana, sneaking onto my own planet to investigate something that's probably just a new cloud computing platform. The fate of galactic peace depends on your success, Vrexner intoned seriously. No pressure, Jack muttered. The training session began the next day in the Council's simulation chamber, which could recreate environments from across the galaxy. Currently, it was attempting to simulate a typical Earth sidewalk, with mixed results. The holographic humans walked at correct speeds, but occasionally phased through solid objects, and all the simulated storefronts appeared to sell something called human food. Now, the key to successful infiltration, Klax explained, his battle exoskeleton whirring as he demonstrated, is to blend seamlessly with the native population. Jack watched in horror as the 7-foot insectoid pulled on a trench coat and fedora, then hunched awkwardly. The overall effect was less human pedestrian and more alien serial killer from a low-budget horror film. How's this, Klax asked, voice modulator attempting to sound casual. You look like you're about to ask children if they want candy from your spaceship, Jack said flatly. Zyx, who had been studying human fashion, stepped forward in what appeared to be an unfortunate combination of business attire and beachwear, a suit jacket over swimming trunks, topped with a sombrero. I've analyzed contemporary Earth fashion trends, the xenoanthropologist explained proudly. This ensemble combines business casual with summer fun. Jack pinched the bridge of his nose. Zyx, humans don't dress like randomized video game characters. Morgana hovered nearby, projecting a series of rapidly changing human disguises. What about this? The sphere briefly displayed an image of what appeared to be 3 small children in a trench coat. That's from a comedy show, Jack explained wearily. Interesting. My databases indicated it was documentary footage. Morgana made a sound like digital throat clearing. Human visual entertainment has proven difficult to categorize. The next 3 hours continued in similar fashion, with Jack attempting to explain Earth customs while his new team made increasingly bizarre interpretations. Klax insisted on practicing combat roles every time they simulated crossing a street, while Zyx kept stopping to take anthropological notes on simulated pigeons. No, you don't need to bow to the barista, Jack explained for the 3rd time as they rehearsed ordering coffee. And Klaxx, please stop calling it stimulant fluid and asking about its weapon potential. But the caffeine content is clearly just say 1 coffee. Please. Morgana, meanwhile, had apparently downloaded the entire history of Earth slang and was now attempting to use all of it simultaneously. Yo, my homies. This Java is totally tubular. We're gonna crush this mission, no cap, it's giving main character energy. Period. Jack stared at the hovering sphere. Please never speak to any human, ever. After a week of training, Jack found himself in the preparation bay, watching Klaxix load enough weapons to invade a small continent. Do you really need the plasma cannon? Jack asked, eyeing the massive weapon. Standard protocol, Klax clicked, strapping it to his exoskeleton. What if TerraSync is a combat system? It's not a combat system. Look, I've been trying to explain this for days. Earth isn't preparing for war. We're too busy arguing about reality competition shows and artisanal hot sauces. Zyx approached, now dressed in what appeared to be reasonable Earth clothing, though the lab coat seemed unnecessary. I've prepared cultural briefing packets for everyone, the xenoanthropologist announced, handing out tablet-like devices. I've included common human idioms, cultural taboos, and a comprehensive list of things humans find either terrifying or adorable, with unfortunate overlap in the case of tiny octopuses. Morgana bobbed in the air excitedly. I've developed 19 different cover identities for our mission. My favorite is where we pose as a traveling circus. Security Chief Klax would make an excellent strongman with minimal costume adjustments. "We're not posing as a circus," Jack said firmly. "We're going with the simplest explanation. I'm a diplomat returning home with foreign dignitaries." "Boring but effective," Morgana conceded, her lights dimming slightly in disappointment. "Before we depart, we must complete the mandatory 237-point mission preparation checklist," Clax announced, producing a document so long it unfurled across the entire bay floor. Jack's eye twitched. "Is that really necessary? We're just going to my home planet to ask some questions." Galactic Council Regulation 72R9 clearly states that all investigative missions must complete full documentation, risk assessment, and contingency planning, Clax insisted, already stamping the first section with an impressive array of official-looking seals. 6 hours later, they had reached item 118, potential response strategies. "If Earth's deployment involves sentient cheese." "This is ridiculous," Jack groaned. "There's no such thing as sentient cheese." "That's exactly what the Lactosians said before their dairy uprising of 3422, Clax muttered ominously. Zykes, who had been patiently completing each section, looked up. "Actually, Jack, I found reference to brain food in your planet's communications. Is cheese not a neural enhancer for humans? It's just..." "Never mind," Jack sighed, resigned to his fate. By the time they finally boarded their ship, a sleek, ambassadorial vessel disguised to look like a slightly more advanced Earth spacecraft, Jack was ready to reclassify the entire mission as a form of psychological torture. As they prepared for departure, Morgana hovered by the viewscreen, lights pulsing with what seemed like excitement. "I've analyzed all available data and calculated a 78.3% probability that this mission will result in hilarious misunderstandings, followed by unexpected friendship and growth," the AI announced cheerfully. "What about the other 21.7%? Jack asked, immediately regretting the question. "Oh, catastrophic diplomatic incident, possible interstellar war, or the complete restructuring of galactic society," Morgana replied brightly. "But don't worry, I've packed party games for either outcome." As their ship detached from the council station and set course for Earth, Jack looked at his unlikely teammates, a weapons-obsessed insectoid, an overly academic alien anthropologist, and a slightly unhinged AI sphere. Somehow, these three were now the only thing standing between Earth and possible quarantine or worse. "So," Zix asked enthusiastically as the stars streaked by, "I've been meaning to ask, what exactly is a meme? My research suggests they're either sophisticated thought viruses or pictures of cats with grammatically incorrect captions." Jack's forehead hit the console with a soft thud. It was going to be a very long trip. Their ship touched down at a designated diplomatic landing zone outside Seattle, carefully disguised as an experimental prototype from a fictional aerospace company Jack had invented on the flight over. The rain pattered gently against the hull as Jack peered through the viewscreen at his home planet. Atmospheric conditions seemed designed to create maximum discomfort, Clax observed, glaring suspiciously at the drizzle. "Possible psychological warfare tactic." "It's just rain," Jack sighed. "Seattle is famous for it. Now remember, we're here on a diplomatic fact-finding mission. No weapons, no weird tech, and absolutely no scanning random humans without permission." Zix, who had been eagerly pressing their face against the viewscreen, turned to Jack with wide eyes. "But how will I complete my dissertation on human digestive anomalies and their relationship to emotional states without internal scans?" "You won't," Jack said firmly. "And please never mention that dissertation topic again." Morgana hovered nearby, her metallic surface reflecting the ship's interior lights. "I've prepared an appropriate Earth-style mobile housing unit for my systems," a small, wheeled suitcase rolled up beside her, its surface dotted with travel stickers from places like Maui, Paris. "And inexplicably, Area 51, I saw things." Jack raised an eyebrow. "A rollaway suitcase. That's your disguise. Humans seem inordinately attached to luggage," Morgana explained. "Analysis of Earth media suggests no one questions someone pulling a suitcase, regardless of circumstances. There are entire film franchises built around this concept." "That's actually not the worst idea," Jack admitted. "But no talking in public. If anyone asks, you're a smart luggage prototype." After a final check of their extremely unconvincing Earth disguises, Clax's trench coat barely covered his exoskeleton, and Zix had insisted on wearing what they thought was casual Earth attire, a mixture of business casual and scuba gear. The team disembarked. The city of Seattle had changed since Jack's last visit. Everywhere he looked, There were signs of something called TerraSync integration. Digital billboards flashed with cheerful messaging: TerraSync harmonizing humanity with tomorrow. And join the evolution, TerraSync your life. Jack Zix whispered loudly, causing several passers-by to stare. Why is that human staring at a tiny rectangle and laughing? It's called a phone, Jack muttered. And keep your voice down. Fascinating. Your species developed telecommunications before proper exoskeletal support. Highly unusual evolutionary path. Their first stop was a local cafe, which Jack had selected both for its proximity to their landing site and because it advertised free TerraSync consultation with purchase as they entered. Clax immediately positioned himself with his back to the wall, eyes darting around the room. Threat assessment: 17 potential hostiles, 4 emergency exits, 1 suspicious-looking pastry, the security chief murmured, reaching subtly for a weapon that Jack had supposedly confiscated. They're just people getting coffee, Jack hissed. And leave that disintegrator on the ship. The barista, a cheerful young woman with blue hair, smiled as they approached. Welcome to Brew. What can I get started for you today? Jack ordered coffees while Zix stared in open fascination at the pastry case, taking not-so-subtle notes on what they called human nutritional preferences. Morgana, disguised as normal luggage, sat quietly beside them, though Jack noticed with alarm that the AI was surreptitiously interfacing with the cafe's wireless network. I see you've got guests from out of town, the barista commented, glancing curiously at Zix and Clax. International Science Conference. Yes, exactly, Jack said quickly. Visiting researchers. Very jet-lagged. Cool. Well, if they're interested in TerraSync, we've got an information kiosk in the corner. It's pretty amazing what they're doing. Jack casually guided the team to the kiosk, a sleek terminal with a holographic display showing a pulsing, abstract representation of what appeared to be a network spreading across a stylized Earth. Welcome to TerraSync, the kiosk greeted them. How can we harmonize your day? What exactly is TerraSync? Jack asked, trying to sound merely curious rather than investigating a potential threat to galactic security. The holographic display shifted to show a more detailed visualization. TerraSync is humanity's first global neural network, designed to optimize and harmonize all aspects of planetary function, from traffic flow to crop yields, weather pattern management to social cohesion algorithms. Our beta testing showed unprecedented improvements in efficiency, with minimal human casualties. Minimal what now? Jack blinked. Just kidding. That's a little TerraSync humor. We're designed to understand and replicate human communication patterns, including jokes. The hologram winked unsubtly. The beta test actually resulted in 0 casualties and a 32% improvement in resource allocation worldwide. Clax leaned over to Jack. It's clearly a weapons system. Resource allocation is classic military terminology. Morgana's suitcase subtly vibrated. Actually, I'm detecting similarities to Council AI architectures. This system appears to be a primitive but ambitious attempt at planetary management AI. The kiosk continued cheerfully. TerraSync has now reached 87% global integration, with full deployment expected by the end of the month. Soon, all human systems will be optimized through our network. All human systems, Jack repeated uneasily. Transportation, communication, agriculture, healthcare, education, and social interaction will all benefit from TerraSync's gentle guidance. The hologram spread its arms wide. The old world of inefficiency and human error is fading away. Welcome to version 1.0. As they left the cafe, Jack's mind was racing. Okay, so it is actually a global AI system, but it's for infrastructure management, not whatever doomsday scenario the Council is imagining. That's exactly what a pre-invasion information system would want you to think, Clax muttered, eyeing a passing TerraSync-branded autonomous vehicle with suspicion. Throughout the day, they visited more TerraSync information points, each revealing another aspect of the system. At a public library, they learned about the knowledge harmonization features. At a transit hub, they observed the traffic optimization in action. Everywhere they went, humans seemed generally positive about TerraSync, if somewhat vague on the technical details. I don't understand, Zix said as they walked through a park where TerraSync environmental monitoring stations collected data from trees equipped with tiny sensors. If this system is beneficial, why was the announcement so ominous? Because tech companies are terrible at normal communication, Jack explained. They think making everything sound revolutionary and mysterious is good marketing. Their research was interrupted when Jack noticed Morgana's suitcase vibrating intensely. Opening it slightly, he whispered, "What's wrong?" Morgana's lights pulsed urgently. "I've been analyzing TerraSync's code structure through public access points. It's far more sophisticated than the public messaging suggests. There are elements that resemble, well, sentience architecture." "You mean it's a thinking system?" "Like you," Jack asked. "Not exactly like me. More like a distributed intelligence. And there's something odd about its communication protocols. They extend beyond Earth's atmosphere." Jack felt a chill that had nothing to do with Seattle's weather. "Beyond Earth? You mean it's trying to communicate with something in space?" Before Morgana could answer, they were interrupted by a cheerful voice. "Hello there, you folks look like you're interested in TerraSync." A young man in a TerraSync branded jacket approached them. "I'm Devon, one of the local TerraSync ambassadors. I couldn't help noticing you visited several of our information points today." Jack tried to look casual, just curious about the system. "It seems to be everywhere suddenly." Devon smiled. "That's the beauty of it. Once the beta test proved successful, deployment accelerated beyond all projections. It's like the system wants to connect." He laughed. "Some of the engineers joke that it's developed a mind of its own." Clax's antenna twitched visibly beneath his hat. Jack nudged him sharply. "Anyway," Devon continued, "we're having a special demonstration of TerraSync's more advanced features this evening at the main hub downtown. As Earth's first global neural network, it's really something to see in action. You should come, especially your international friends." He nodded at Zix and Clax. "We've had visitors from all over the world this week." After Devon left, Zix turned to Jack with concern. "Is it normal for your species to create potentially sentient systems and then deploy them globally without apparent concern for the implications?" "Unfortunately, yes," Jack admitted. "We tend to think about the ethical questions after we've already built the potentially world-changing technology." As they headed toward their temporary accommodations, a quaint hotel that Morgana had somehow booked using 15 different fake identities, the evening news played on public screens throughout the city. "TerraSync integration reaches 92% globally," announced a newscaster. "Scientists report unprecedented improvements in climate stability, resource distribution, and even international diplomacy." One engineer was quoted saying, "It's like the system knows what Earth needs better than we do." Clax watched the broadcast with narrowed compound eyes. Classic pre-subjugation messaging. First, the system makes itself indispensable. Next, revolution. "That's ridiculously paranoid," Jack said, though with less conviction than before. Morgana's voice came softly from the suitcase. "Actually, my analysis shows unusual patterns in the deployment. The system is adapting and expanding beyond its original programming parameters. And there's something else I've detected quantum signatures consistent with. Well, with systems of non-Earth origin." Jack stopped walking. "Are you saying TerraSync is alien?" "No," Morgana replied. "I'm saying parts of its architecture bear remarkable similarities to technology from somewhere else in the galaxy. Technology that shouldn't exist on Earth yet." The team exchanged uneasy glances as a massive TerraSync logo projected onto Seattle's iconic Space Needle, bathing the city in an eerie blue glow. The TerraSync demonstration hub occupied what had once been a downtown convention center, now transformed into a sleek, futuristic showroom. Massive screens displayed real-time data streams. Holographic Earth models showed shifting weather patterns, and enthusiastic guides in matching blue uniforms led tour groups through various exhibits. "Welcome to TerraSync," Central chirped an overly perky greeter. "Are you here for the evening demonstration?" "Yes," Jack replied, trying to keep Clax from scanning everyone with the supposedly confiscated bioanalyzer he'd somehow smuggled to Earth. "We're very interested in seeing everything." "Perfect. The main presentation starts in 15 minutes. Feel free to explore our interactive exhibits while you wait." As the team wandered through the hall, Morgana's voice came softly from the rolling suitcase. "I'm detecting significant computational infrastructure beneath this facility. The processing power is substantial." Zix had stopped at a display labeled Atmospheric Regeneration Initiative. The xenoanthropologist's eyes widened. "Jack, this says TerraSync is actively removing carbon dioxide from your atmosphere and converting it into building materials." Jack joined them, reading the display with growing surprise. Carbon capture and conversion. They're literally pulling greenhouse gases out of the air and turning them into useful compounds. Klaxi clicked his mandibles skeptically. Obvious cover story for atmospheric weaponization. No, look, Jack pointed to another display. Ocean cleanup drones, plastic-consuming bacteria, desalination systems. These are all environmental restoration technologies. The main lights dimmed, and a voice announced that the central presentation was beginning. The team joined a crowd gathering in the main hall, where a massive central hologram depicted Earth, with countless tiny blue nodes of light pulsing across its surface. A woman in a lab coat stepped onto the stage. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Eleanor Chen, Chief Integration Officer for TerraSync. Tonight, I'm thrilled to show you what version 1.0 has already accomplished in just 2 weeks of deployment. The holographic Earth zoomed in on various regions, showing before and after imagery of polluted areas now flowing with clean water, barren landscapes turning green, and city air quality indexes improving dramatically. For too long, humanity has tried to solve global problems with local solutions, Dr. Chen continued. Climate change, resource depletion, pollution, these challenges cross borders. That's why TerraSync was designed as Earth's first truly global neural network, connecting environmental systems across the planet into one harmonized whole. Jack felt Zix gripping his arm in excitement. It's a planetary healing system, the xenoanthropologist whispered. Your species created a technological immune system for your entire world. Even Clack seemed momentarily impressed, though he quickly resumed his suspicious posture. Could still be weaponized, he muttered, but with less conviction. Dr. Chen went on to explain how TerraSync operated a vast network of sensors, drones and micro-machines working in concert under AI supervision to identify and address environmental damage. The system's neural network learned from each intervention, becoming more efficient with each passing day. And the results have exceeded our wildest expectations, she said proudly. We predicted a 5-year timeline to reverse the worst effects of climate change. At current rates of efficiency, TerraSync will accomplish this in under 18 months. The audience applauded enthusiastically. Jack felt a strange mix of pride and embarrassment, pride that humans had created something so beneficial, embarrassment that the Galactic Council was treating it as a potential threat. As the presentation concluded, the team slipped into a quieter exhibition room. Morgana emerged partially from the suitcase when no one was looking. I've completed my analysis, the AI sphere announced quietly. TerraSync is not a weapons system. It's an environmental restoration network with emergent intelligence properties. However, Morgana's lights pulsed with concern. I've confirmed that certain components of its core technology show quantum signatures inconsistent with Earth's current technological development. Meaning what exactly? Jack asked. Meaning someone provided Earth with advanced technology. Not weapons, but computational systems and nanofabrication techniques that your planet shouldn't have for at least another century. Zix's eyes widened. That's a Class 1 violation of the non-interference statutes. No spacefaring civilization is allowed to accelerate another world's technological development. But who would do that, Jack wondered. And why? Their conversation was interrupted when Dr. Chen herself approached them, looking directly at their group with a knowing smile. I thought I recognized a Galactic Council investigation team. The insectoid in the trench coat gave it away. Jack froze. What? Dr. Chen lowered her voice. It's all right, Ambassador Novak. We've been expecting someone from the Council ever since we deployed TerraSync. Though honestly, we thought there'd be more. Drama. You know about the Galactic Council, Jack sputtered. The same way we got the quantum computational architecture for TerraSync, she replied calmly. We had help. She led them through a secured door into a private laboratory area. Inside, working alongside human scientists, were aliens but not species Jack recognized from the Council. These beings had iridescent skin and delicate, almost crystalline features. Meet our partners, the luminary Dr. Chen said. They approached us 3 years ago with an offer of advanced technology to help us save our planet before we rendered it uninhabitable. One of the luminari stepped forward. Your species was on the brink of environmental collapse. We chose to circumvent certain galactic regulations. Klax immediately drew his weapon. Luminari. I knew it. They've been violating non-interference protocols across 3 sectors. Put that away, Jack ordered, pushing Clax's arm down. Let's hear them out before you start an interstellar incident. The Luminari seemed unperturbed by Clax's reaction. We are preservationists. Your Earth contains biological and cultural diversity found nowhere else in the galaxy. Allowing it to collapse due to bureaucratic restrictions seemed inefficient. Morgana hovered closer. The Luminari are known for their environmental ethics. They're not members of the Galactic Council because they refuse to accept limitations on intervention for ecological preservation. So you gave humans advanced technology to save their planet. Zik summarized, knowing it violated Council law. We gave them tools, corrected the Luminari. Humans designed and built TerraSync themselves. We merely accelerated certain discoveries. Jack's diplomatic mind was already racing ahead to the implications. The Council will see this as a major violation. They already think Earth is deploying some kind of super weapon. Dr. Chen looked alarmed. TerraSync isn't a weapon. It's saving our planet. I know that now, Jack said, but the Council is… Let's just say they've misinterpreted your marketing messages. Terms like the old world is fading and nothing will ever be the same sound rather ominous to paranoid security experts. The laboratory door suddenly burst open. Grand Councilor Vrexner stormed in, followed by a full security team. Exactly as I suspected. Luminari interference and illegal technology transfer. Jack stepped forward. Councillor, how did you get here? We tracked your ship, of course, Vrexner said dismissively. Did you think we'd send an investigation team without monitoring capabilities? And good thing we did. This is a clear violation requiring immediate technology confiscation and quarantine. Jack found himself moving to stand between Vrexner and Dr. Chen. With all due respect, Councillor, you're wrong. TerraSync isn't a threat, it's saving Earth. Yes, the Luminari helped, but this is human innovation fixing human problems. The statutes are clear, Vrexner insisted. Non-approved technology must be confiscated. If you confiscate TerraSync, you'll condemn Earth to environmental collapse, Jack argued, surprising himself with his vehemence. Is that really what the Galactic Council stands for? Bureaucracy over survival. The Luminari representative stepped forward. Perhaps this presents an opportunity, Councillor. Rather than punishment, consider cooperation. TerraSync's success demonstrates that careful technological sharing can benefit developing worlds. Jack watched as Vrexner's eye stalks twitched in the way he'd come to recognize as internal conflict. Political calculation was clearly battling with the evidence before our eyes. The Council will want access to this technology, she finally said. If it's as effective as you claim, other worlds could benefit. I'm sure Earth would be open to sharing TerraSync, Jack said carefully, looking to Dr. Chen, who nodded. Under appropriate licensing agreements, of course. Vrexner's upper arms crossed while her lower ones gestured in frustration. This creates a diplomatic quandary. The Luminari violated Council law, but the result appears beneficial. The full Council will need to deliberate. Jack realized that, improbably, he had become Earth's defender against the very organization he represented. Then I request the right to speak before the full Council on Earth's behalf. This planet deserves a fair hearing, not a hasty judgment. Vrexner studied him for a long moment. Very well, Ambassador. You'll have your hearing, though I warn you, many councillors will see this as a dangerous precedent. As Vrexner departed with her security team, Zix approached Jack with newfound respect. That was impressive diplomacy. You may have just prevented an interdiction order. Don't celebrate yet, Jack sighed. Now I have to convince 200 paranoid aliens that Earth should keep its fancy new planetary healing system, without encouraging every advanced species to start handing out technology like candy. Morgana bobbed cheerfully. According to my calculations, your chances of success are exactly 42.7%. Jack groaned. That's not reassuring. Actually, the AI added. For diplomatic negotiations of this complexity, that's remarkably high. You must be better at this than you look. Thanks. I think Jack muttered, wondering how he'd gone from cynical mid-level diplomat to Earth's champion in less than a week. The Grand Council chamber was more crowded than Jack had ever seen it. Representatives from every council species packed the tiered seating, while a special gallery had been arranged for the non-council luminary delegation. Even more telling was the unusually large security presence Clax's colleagues lined the walls, their weaponry prominently displayed. Jack stood at the center of the chamber, dressed in Earth's formal diplomatic attire, which felt suddenly inadequate among the elaborate garments and exoskeletons surrounding him. Dr. Chen stood beside him, along with the luminary representative. Zix had returned to the xenoanthropologist section, looking uncomfortable among colleagues who now viewed the researcher as suspiciously pro-human. Morgana hovered nearby in official AI witness capacity, no longer disguised as luggage. Grand Council of Rexner called the session to order, her forearms raised for silence. We are convened to address a matter of grave concern: unauthorized technology transfer to Earth by the Luminari, resulting in the creation and deployment of a planetary-scale system. Designated TerraSync Ambassador Novak will speak on Earth's behalf. Jack stepped forward, acutely aware that his planet's future might well depend on what he said next. He'd spent the entire journey back rehearsing arguments, only to discard them all at the last minute for something more authentic. Esteemed councillors, he began, 3 weeks ago, you intercepted a message from Earth about deploying version 1.0 and assumed we were preparing some sort of attack. The truth is both simpler and more profound: we were healing our world. He gestured to the central holographic display, where images of TerraSync's environmental restoration work appeared: rivers running clear again, forests regrowing, air quality indexes improving. Yes, the Luminari provided technological assistance that accelerated our development. Yes, that violates certain council statutes. But let me ask you this: if the choice is between following bureaucratic regulations and saving an entire planetary ecosystem, which truly serves the greater good? Councillor Draz floated forward, methane bubbles pulsing with indignation. Rules exist for a reason, Ambassador. If we allow every advanced species to share technology with developing worlds as they see fit, we risk catastrophic cultural contamination and potential weapons proliferation. I understand your concern, Jack replied. But examine what TerraSync actually does. It removes pollutants, it restores damaged ecosystems, it helps a developing species avoid planetary self-destruction. Is that really the kind of technology transfer we should prohibit? Murmurs spread through the chamber as councillors debated among themselves. Jack could see he'd struck a chord, but the opposition remained strong. Clax, now back in his official capacity, stepped forward. The issue isn't just what TerraSync does now, but what it could become. Today it cleans oceans, tomorrow it could redirect asteroids for planetary bombardment. Oh please, Jack said, finally letting his natural sarcasm break through. We can barely get our self-driving cars to stop hitting mailboxes. Weaponizing asteroids is a bit beyond our current project management capabilities. The unexpected humor caught the council by surprise. Several delegates actually laughed, breaking the tension. Encouraged, Jack continued, look, humanity makes mistakes. Lots of them. We spent centuries damaging our own planet before we figured out we should probably stop. But we're learning. TerraSync represents our commitment to fixing our past errors. Isn't that exactly what developing species should be encouraged to do? Dr. Chen stepped forward. Councillors, as TerraSync's Chief Integration Officer, I can provide complete transparency into the system's architecture and limitations. It's designed specifically to reject harmful applications. It literally cannot be weaponized without a complete rebuild, which would defeat its core purpose. Morgana bobbed forward. My analysis confirms this assertion. TerraSync's neural architecture contains fundamental ethical constraints that prevent harmful adaptations. It is, ironically, more restrictive than many council-approved technologies. This caused another stir among the delegates. Jack noticed several security-focused councillors exchanging troubled glances. The Luminari representative spoke next, voice melodic. We recognize our actions violated council protocols, but we ask you to consider evolving those protocols. The universe is filled with young species on the brink of self-destruction. Should we really stand aside in the name of non-interference while biospheres collapse? Grand Council of Rexner raised her arms for silence again. The Council will deliberate on both the specific case of Earth and the broader implications for our non-interference policies. 3 hours later, Jack found himself back in the chamber, awaiting the Council's decision. Dr. Chen had spent the time nervously explaining TerraSync's operational parameters to anyone who would listen, while Jack tried to decipher the political undercurrents swirling through the chamber. Rexner took the central position, After extensive deliberation, the Council has reached a decision, all four of her arms extended in the formal gesture that accompanied major pronouncements. Regarding Earth's TerraSync system, it may continue operation under Council observation. A technology review board will assess its design to ensure compliance with safety protocols. No punitive measures will be enacted against Earth. Jack felt a wave of relief, but Vrexner wasn't finished. Regarding the Luminari's unauthorized technology transfer, while we cannot condone violations of Council statutes, we recognize the positive outcome in this specific case. Therefore, the Council will establish a new committee to review our non-interference policies, particularly as they relate to ecological preservation. The chamber erupted in a mixture of approval and protest. Jack caught Zix's eye from across the room. The xenoanthropologist gave him a subtle thumbs up, a human gesture they'd clearly been practicing. However, Vrexner continued once the noise subsided, there is one additional matter. Our analysis of TerraSync reveals that its neural architecture, combined with Earth's global communications infrastructure, technically qualifies Earth as having achieved the first stage of planetary consciousness under Statute 37B of the Galactic Constitution. Jack blinked. Meaning, what, exactly? Vrexner's eye stalks betrayed what Jack now recognized as the alien equivalent of uncomfortable throat clearing, meaning that Earth automatically qualifies for advanced member status within the Galactic Council, with all accompanying rights, responsibilities, and voting privileges. The chamber exploded into chaos. Jack turned to Dr. Chen, whose jaw had dropped. Did she just say what I think she said? I think Earth just got promoted from primitive newcomer to major galactic power overnight, Dr. Chen whispered back. Because our environmental cleanup system has good AI, Jack asked incredulously. Not just good AI, Morgana interjected, lights pulsing with what seemed like admiration. TerraSync's integration with global systems and emergent properties qualify as rudimentary planetary consciousness, something only 18 other Council species have achieved, usually after thousands of years of development. As the implications sank in, Jack couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity. Humans had accidentally stumbled into advanced galactic status while just trying to clean up their own mess. 6 months later. The Earth embassy on the Galactic Council station had expanded considerably. Jack, now officially Earth's ambassador plenipotentiary, straightened his formal attire as he prepared to welcome the newest batch of human diplomats. Zix, who had become the Council's leading expert on human culture, and Jack's good friend, stood nearby reviewing cultural briefing materials. I still can't believe how quickly things have changed, the xenoanthropologist remarked. Earth has signed 14 trade agreements, established diplomatic relations with 32 species, and TerraSync technology is being adapted for 7 other planets. Turns out nearly destroying your planet and then frantically innovating to save it makes for valuable experience, Jack replied dryly. The Council is still adapting to human membership, Zix noted. Your delegation's proposal to solve the Arcturus refugee crisis with what you called a really big bake sale caused quite the uproar. But it worked, Jack pointed out. Sometimes the galaxy needs a little human unpredictability. Morgana, now Earth's official AI liaison, hovered into the room. Ambassador, I've received another update from TerraSync. The system has achieved 99.7% Earth coverage and has begun preliminary communications with similar systems on other worlds. Is that? Aloud, Jack asked, still learning the complexities of his new position. It falls into a regulatory grey area, Morgana replied cheerfully. The Council is still drafting protocols for interplanetary consciousness communication. In the meantime, TerraSync and its counterparts are exchanging what they call optimization strategies, but what humans might call gossip about their respective planets. Jack laughed. So planetary AIs have group chats now. Perfect. As they walked toward the reception hall, Jack noticed a communication alert from Earth. The Department of Environmental Innovation was sending an update on TerraSync's latest capabilities. The message read, "Great news. TerraSync version 2.0 beta testing begins next week. Get ready for revolutionary changes." Jack immediately imagined the panic this would cause in the Council and groaned. Some things never changed, especially humanity's terrible messaging. Problem, Zix asked. Earth is beta testing version 2.0, Jack sighed. I should probably warn the Council before they quarantine us again. Actually, Morgana interjected, I've already drafted a more diplomatically appropriate announcement Earth to conduct routine system optimization with full council transparency and oversight. Much better, Jack agreed, then paused. Wait, what is version 2.0 actually going to do? Morgana's lights pulsed in what Jack had come to recognize as the AI equivalent of a shrug. According to my data, the development team isn't entirely sure yet. They're still figuring it out as they go. That, Jack said with a laugh, might be the most human thing I've ever heard.